realm if he.
This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So
Yeah, it's pretty interesting you said that about the Bible because we do a lot of research too based off the Bible. You know what I mean? And just
well,
like you
yeah,
said,
if you start looking at it correctly, not through this churchology bullshit that they've been putting on us,
right.
you know, you actually read what Jesus is saying. Listen to what somebody made a comment the other day, and it blew me away. His perspective. You know, when Jesus was on the cross, we hear the constant, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Right now, we were always taught that he was talking to God, but that doesn't really make any sense since God, he and God are one and the same. Now, what that was an exclamation, because he was speaking to the people of Israel that had hung him on that tree. Because you got to remember, there was a Pontius Pilate offered them a thief or him, and they took him to crucify him. So his term was, my God, you know, why have you forsaken me? In other words, why have you rejected me? So I never looked at it that way before, because again, I still have some shit I got to shake off too, but it made me realize that that's what he was doing. So like I said, the way we've been jaded in these teachings that we've gotten,
Yeah.
okay, there's a lot of people that believe in this rapture bullshit. I don't buy into that. You know, and for a lot of reasons I don't buy in. There's too many scriptures that says he who endures to the end will be saved. And seems like if Noah went through hell to get through the flood, I don't see how we're going to escape it either. And there's a real good book out. If you've never found it, I can send it to you. Send me an email through Zoom here. It's called Martyr's Mirrors. Have you ever seen it?
Haven't heard of it.
That is a book that will either shame you or really encourage you. This was about all the martyrs from the time of Christ to I think about the 14th century, and how the Catholic Church killed Christians and how they did it. I remember a couple stories there that, I mean, these people went through hell, period, to stand for their faith. So all I see is this is going to happen again. I mean, the Bible also tells us flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven, which makes sense. Since we're down this shithole, I call it a shithole.
Something to consider though. These flood stories that we're hearing, we have pretty concrete evidence that some major catastrophes were not Mother Nature or God.
Right.
They were man.
Oh, sure. Well, even Atlantis was done by man. When they built
Right.
Atlantis, what caused Atlantis to collapse is they were channeling Atlantis. They had channeled all through the continent. The continent started from Greece and went all the way to the Gulf and around Spain. Where the Mediterranean is sitting right now is where Atlantis was. So when they turned on those frequencies like these towers we have now, they weren't high enough. And what happened, because these towers, the way they work, they bounced the frequency off the earth into the sky. And they turned them on. And what happened was it caused a major shattering of the foundation. That's why it sunk. So all these things that we're seeing, when you're looking at these buildings and these high rises that were conducting electricity, and they were using that as a power source in their grid. You know, somebody somewhere wanted to erase that whole probably the same thing. They were getting to a point where they're starting to get close to the truth about what was really going on. So as a result, they had to erase it. This is where we're at today. You know, these demonic bastards are running the show today. This is what this is all about. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of faith in this judicial system we have here. I mean, it's all.
You should not.
Yeah.
You should not.
It's still the Spanish Inquisition. They have just changed their name. That's all it is.
And it's going to get, the death rate is just going to hit like hell this fall. It's going to be brutal. I've been saying this since I was one of the first ones that said this whole thing was bullshit from day one. I said this was nanotechnology is what it was, nanobiotech. And because they showed us a real thing, what it was is you had these quantum dots wrapped up in a protein with a fullerene assembly beside us. This is not a virus, this is a program, it's an operating system. And we went from fish to bats to bat shit to COVID to Lambda to whatever the hell was next after that. Now we're talking about the Marburg, and now we're talking about monkeypox. Seriously, cannot anybody think that this is being done either through your body's spike protein that you're producing, you're being programmed to produce these pathologies because you no longer have your own DNA anymore, or Are you not seeing that this is being done on purpose? You know,
Well, it's so funny. We get into this thing that we found. We found this algorithm called the Santana effect. It's like TSL, but it's some Santana effect. It's pretty cool. You've heard of it. This particular algorithm, it's allowing us to pinpoint things very specifically. And with this COVID, what we found is to take it back a little further with this algorithm and the New World Order. The last New World Order that we had, I think we can all agree was a true New World Order reset, was 1912, the sinking of the Titanic. Well, you'll find that same year, certain events will cause something so tragic to happen and so drastic to happen that they have to press that emergency button pretty quickly. 1912 was the year they started using pasteurization, and 1912 was also the year they realized that vitamin C could reverse scurvy. Because remember, scurvy was like everything we're dealing with right now to the old world, because that was never cured during this time. So 1912, we had the sinking of the Titanic, which we can acknowledge was the reset. 13 years after the sinking of the Titanic in 1925, that was our reset. Well, we're having another reset again, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, but this reset, the last reset we had prior to this one, remember, it was steam engines and coal. And then we had a reset over to oil. We're currently still transitioning out of oil. And this current reset we're going into is still about energy, but it's not about electricity like we thought. It's about illness. The illnesses are our new world order. The lockstep plan by Rockefeller, when you read lockstep, it specifically states that their plan and their intentions is to try to keep us in the house for 13 years and then come up with their new variant. But literally, the new world order for this next order that we're in right now is illness. There's a movie out called The Forever Purge, and The Forever Purge is kind of let us know that they're going to keep on hitting us until we say, hey, enough is enough. But that's the new world order of this generation. And the country that was its origin was Wuhan. And understanding that Wuhan did not try to deny this. Wuhan accepted responsibility for it because they get the reward for being the first one. So in 2019, Wuhan was the first one to release the coronavirus, and they're the first because now they get credited being the first to start the new world order with illness. And if you want to look back 13 years prior to that, it'll be 2006. And you're going to see in 2006, that was the completion of the Three Gorges Dam in Wuhan as well, which coincides with our 3-year.
Was that around with SARS too? Was that SARS during that time? The first SARS?
ours was in between 1990 and 2000.
2000, yeah.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah, but it's illness. The New World Order isn't, it's illness. It's the plan is just to keep us sick for, especially in the States, to keep us sick for 13 years. And then in 13 years after 2019 will be 2032, at which time their plans to try to destroy the pipelines in South Dakota. That's the plan.
Well, the Midran came out in 1981, and they were forecasting global overpopulation. So their game plan was to create these dynamics, get people to believe that they had a solution, have them march in to take the death shot, and those who didn't, they were going to separate the intellect from the dummies.
Yeah, the useless eaters.
As you can see, we have a lot of dummies.
It's crazy. It's so crazy.
You know what? It's really not that crazy when you sit there and think about it. When I went to high school many thousands of years ago. When I had a graduating class of 350 people.
Wow.
Out of that 350, 275 of them graduated. Out of that 275, I bet you about 100 of them couldn't sign their name. Okay, I'm not kidding.
What?
I'm not kidding. Oh yeah,
Right.
I knew a guy, big burly color fellow, And he's telling me that he had a job. He wasn't worried about school because he had a job at GM because his dad was going to get him to GM. So he says, but I don't know how to write. You don't know how to write. How are you going to sign your check? So I'm just going to put an X on the back. They'll take it in front of the banker. They'll take it. It's okay. So this is what was going on during that era as I was coming out. The year I came out, we had a tank driving down our street during the 67 riots in Detroit. We went through racial bullshit. We went through hippie bullshit. We went through the feminist bullshit. We went through all that crap. And so those of us who grew out of that realized, those of us that still came out of it, that they were at that point in time trying to destroy any kind of commonality or common ground. So they got into the whole racial thing. I grew up in a colored neighborhood. I never had a problem. I had a problem going to school with Hispanic people. They were a little nuts, but it took me forever to figure out why they were so effed up.
Man, the Puerto Ricans, man, I don't know what to say.
I don't know what's going on here.
It wasn't so much the Puerto Ricans. It was the other Hispanics. And because I had met people from El Salvador and Nicaragua and what's the other one? And they have from Central America. They're completely different. Now I've been to Mexico and they're completely different there too. But
we are,
but in totally different. They're actually more European in Mexico. But in the US, what I realized was they had targeted them when they brought them over, and they must have put something either in their injections or something in their rice or something in their fruits and their corn, because they eat their tortillas and they eat rice. So they had to have done something in that to create the whatever that was going on. They were overly violent. Even when they fought with each other, it was like two mad dogs going crazy. So I used to see this. I could never understand it growing up. I understood later, but it was unbelievable to see the level of violence that these people were. One guy got into a fight at a school, and he was beating up on this Hispanic guy. The guy went down, pulled a knife, pulled a sword out of his boot, and cut the guy to pieces. So I mean, this is the kind of thing that we saw growing up. But like I said, this is how much chemical and drugs and shit they were doing then. Now you look at it, it's like I said, they basically domesticated everyone to such a point of docility that they have no fight left. They can't correlate that the government is the bad guy anymore.
Yeah, and this is what. Oh, go ahead, Santana. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Raphael. Go ahead.
So this is my interest about your work, Tony, is that myself, I do my research about my health. I'm learning, how to eat, what not to eat, what's going on, being super aware and just being super perceptive, because that's what you got to be, is just be aware of what's going on. And I want to kind of, have you elaborate on this, because now with this new understanding that you're bringing, since I've been watching your videos, is that we can do all the protocols naturally that we think is going to help our system to be healthy, a certain state of health, but it's no longer that way, because now it's nano, it's robotic, it's mimickers. And that kind of just fucked up my whole way of thinking, because it's like, okay, I can do so much on an organic, natural level, but what am I going to do to get these mechanical parasites out of my body? So if you want to kind of elaborate.
I'm showing you how to do that as well.
Right.
I'm showing you how to do that. So I'm going to actually, we got another one coming out as soon as Dave gets it up. I designed a new thing called this, I call it the spike. And what it is, it's a coil, an induction coil that you connect two signal flashes to or a relay, and you just attach it to different parts of your body and let it do its hit, and you'll see Elvis leave the building. Literally. The reason why I designed that was because when I go out, I always wear one of these. Okay.
What is that?
These are ionizers.
Oh, okay.
What they do is they put a field around you. I went out today. I had I wear a copper vest underneath or copper poncho actually underneath my shirt, because this machine decides to hit me and beat me up sometimes. So when I
what kind of condoms do you use, Anthony?
Hey,
what kind of condoms do you use?
Copper.
I wear bareback or nothing. I gotta wear a sock to the shower. There's no point.
Hey, Tony.
Wait,
I don't like this. I don't like this
I
Raphael
have
character. Can we be
tri-
friends?
I have,
Oh, you
tri- I
getting
have,
dumped, Raphael. You got dumped.
I
I got-
have,
Can we be
I have
friends?
I have tried wearing a raincoat to the shower, but all I do is break out in a major rash with that. So I said, if I gotta go through all this just to exchange some DNA, you know what? It ain't worth it. Forget it. You know, so and I have the ability to control myself so I don't get anybody pregnant. So this is the other perspective. Like I said, my generation, we were exploring a lot. So, you know, we learned some things. But today the beast is leashed. That's what it ain't going nowhere. You know, it's not going nowhere. It's if by chance something like this should happen up the road, I have stated many a time, it's a done deal. I'm not going anywhere else. And if a person decides that they're going to change their mind when they get jabbed, say la vie, you're on your own. You know, I'm not there. You know,
Right.
and today it's a whole different world too when it comes to that kind of thing. Sex is always going to be there.
No, Tony.
Huh?
You missed the one equation that everyone keeps forgetting about, brother. Love.
Well, love is there. It's got to be there. I mean,
No, brother. You said love, but you know, love hits you like a ton of bricks, baby.
no.
This guy let it hit you, man.
No. See, you haven't gone through enough fire yet. See, she can relate to what I'm saying because she's been through the fire. I've been through the fire. See, when the first time around comes along, you
The
get
dog
hit.
is right here. Look, I'm crispy from being through fire, man.
He's burnt.
Look at his hair. Look at his hair, Tony. Look at his hair, Tony. Come on.
They call me Birdman.
No, let me give you a little Coles Notes version here. If you've been with somebody and it hasn't gone south, you have no idea. Now, when you fall in love, I don't know if it's love or lust, what happens all of a sudden, see, men lose 94% of their brain functionality when they fall in love. When I fell in love, I had no more brain. I didn't have 94% gone. It was completely burned out. So for whatever time frame that lasted, when it finally hit, when it fell apart, that's when everything goes to sobriety. So love will play a small part into it, but you're going to be looking now, when you look for a partner today, once you've been burnt, you're looking for certain criteria, like one, are they awake? Number
Right.
one.
No, listen,
Absolutely,
but this is the best time to
absolutely.
find them now.
Yeah.
It's easy to find out if they are.
Is her penis
No,
bigger
no,
than
no,
yours?
that's not true either. No, it is. That's not true at all. You have no idea how many people. Look, I did a show 4 weeks ago, and guys were going out and they're meeting women, and now they asked the women, "Have you been jabbed?" And they said, "No, we haven't been jabbed." And later on, when they get home, and you start getting into more in-depth discussion, you know, the preliminary exchange,
First base. Yeah.
finds out that yes, she has been jabbed. They walk away. They walk right away because they're looking at
So you're saying that people are lying at first and saying they have it, and
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe it.
Man, I'm like, if y'all done got
Because
to the
people,
house
because
together,
people
y'all-
are
y'all
because
done
you know
breathed together.
yeah, the thing
Y'all
is
might
that
go ahead.
yeah,
I mean, shut, go to the car together.
the information's out. Like
Once you've had sex and you've had really good sex, and I don't know how to define that for anybody, I guess it all depends on. That's always an itch. So she knows what I'm talking about too.
everyone has
Hey,
children.
So what
Hey,
happens is you got that drive, for that, but you have to be clear-headed today. The sex will follow everything else. If there's any kind of connection we have with a person, that's not going to be a problem. You'll ring each other's bell all night long kind of thing. That's not a big deal, but you got to live with whoever you're living with, and you got to live in these times. So you got to be aware that if you're going to be living in these times and you're going to be living going to be living in the flames. So whoever you're going to go with, first, you got to be able to be willing to see them die in front of you, because that can happen. That may happen this time around. And second, you got to be able to, if you're going to be going through it, you can't, in what I call the matrix realm of relationships, if the partners are tearing each other down in that, you never survive. Never going to survive. And that's what happens. There's always battles. There's always this friction. And if you got that going on, you know what? You're effed. You're just effed. You may as well just cut it loose and move on. You know, and but there better be something there that has some real serious solidarity or some serious
Truth.
point of perspective where we're at today. 30, 40 years ago, it was all about getting a job, getting a house, having a car payment, having a couple kids, putting them through university. That was it. We weren't worried about nanotechnology. We weren't about 6G, 7G busting down our DNA. We weren't worrying about sun emitters or 300 sun emitters up in the sky hitting us with photonic energy. We weren't worried about genetically engineered foods or genetically modified food. We didn't have all that crap. All we had was pheromones and a lot of sexually provocative television. You know, when you looked at a commercial, what did they have? They had blondes, all these blondes advertising these cars or cigarettes or whatever the hell it was, you know, and then they brainwashed you with this shit. So, or to watch game shows, and they had all these women that had these see-through things, and so all you saw was the rack stacked and packed and like ho 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 kind of thing. Now, I used to watch Friends years ago, so there was a couple of women on that show that, you know, had a tongue hanging effect. But then you find out they're men. Like, what?
The switcheroo is real.
So, you know,
Tony's on it. Tony's on it. The
like I
switcheroo
said,
is
so
real.
I'm coming from two realms, old and new, you know. So if you've been, like I said, if you've been with somebody and you've had a good experience with the DNA exchange, so that may have a drive to some level, but this better be in control, you know.
So, you know, Tony, it sounds like you're very distraught. You feel taken advantage of by friends, don't you?
No,
You
no,
feel
no,
you,
not
you
really.
feel you feel violated.
Well,
You
I know.
feel violated.
No, I haven't been violated. No, I can't say that. I have been through my share of fire, though. I've done some stupid shit in my life, you know.
Who's the men? Who the men?
Okay, what?
The blonde,
Who's
the
the
blonde, the main blonde chick.
Oh
No. The marriage breaking down, that affects anybody, whoever goes through. You got to go through about 2.5 years of perspective in that. And then, well, I had some issues, but I met somebody, and 7 months later, and those issues were all completely cleared up. So I had no more issues. But anyway, no, look, you have to understand, I'm coming from another era. We didn't have any enlightenment. We just followed. Okay, we just followed. We
That's
assumed.
our parents. I'm aware.
Yeah, so all we had, like I said, all we had was make money, buy that big house, buy that car, have a job,
Program.
get a wife, have a kid. That was the whole shoot. Even in the church, that was also encouraged. So, you know, today, I mean, even today, when I'm reading the Bible today, and the way I read it now and the way I read it back then, if I hadn't gone through being poisoned with nanotechnology, I would not be seeing the things in the Bible I'm seeing today that I needed to saw 20 years ago. But again, it was just dumb as a bag of rocks. So I didn't see it. And you got to remember too, when I was younger, I was an athlete. So I had some strength and power. So, and then men get all caught up in that shit, right? Oh yeah, I got this, I got that, you know, and you're strong as a horse, and you can work like 3 men, blah, blah, blah. So once your strength is taken from you, not because that's a distraction, really. Once that's removed, then you begin to realize, you know what? There's a lot more out there than what I thought. I thought I was Superman. Well, now Superman has met his kryptonite, got his ass handed to him. So now you got to rebuild. But then in the rebuilding now, you see a whole different reality that otherwise I would not have seen. So I had to go through the fire to burn off all the shit that was attached to me. And we will all go through the fire until we die, because this matrix has fucked us in the head and in our hearts and our emotions. And so a lot of that has to be, as this becomes removed, you begin to see more and more and more, and you begin to realize more and more. Anybody that has any truth in them is going to be hunted. You know, I'm always thinking in terms of technology and creating EMP pulses and fields and even a force field kind of barrier so that something does come along, tries to get through that, knock yourself out kind of thing. If you do get through, I got plan B right beside me. So I think in those terms because I see what's coming. You know.
So Tony, I have a question for you. So what I'm hearing you saying is that the relationships of the past and kind of what you grew up in was kind of the American dream kind of relationship. You help each other like achieve the American dream. But today the couples are needing to battle together. You need like a fellow warrior. And that's what I see when I see Santana and Ariel. And they needed, like, when I hear about them battling for their son and whatever's going on with him, I knew that they needed the right direct, like a good path
Oh, yeah.
for the stuff that you're helping to teach, because you are also a warrior for truth, and you have the tools that they need to help heal their son. That's what I feel.
Yes,
can
and
help.
we really appreciate you too. We really do. I mean, it really meant a lot for this connection, for all of this to happen, and it happened so organically. So, you know, it's a beautiful experience.
We're in a different world today. Whole different world. You know.
And Tony, can you tell me about the breatharians and the solar, the breatharians? Tell me about this.
That's bunk. Every breatharian I have ever met collapsed. They had to eat. Now, okay. The other thing about this too. Okay. All right. Think for 1 minute.
Wow.
Let's just open up this gray matter just for 1 minute. Okay. And we're going to draw energy from the sun. This is the idea. We're going to use the photonic energy from the sun. And we're going to be charged up. We're going to be like Superman under a yellow sun, getting hit with yellow rays of the sun. We're going to be super duper pooper trooper. How do you know that's the sun anymore? And what are you breathing in? You're breathing in nanites, nanoparticles, nanoprogramming. So what are you living on?
You just killed his dream, Tony. You just killed his dream.
I'm trying to give people a grounded, common sense, salted.
Thank you for the common sense. Thank you.
When you hear these mythical, magical things, there may be an element of truth to that. Like I told you before, when I started reading books on herbalism, I got a herb that gave me a list this long of what it could do. But what they didn't give me was what I had to combine to get all these activities to work. I had to figure that out on my own. Now, I'm going to look at the sun. I'm going to blink so that I can absorb the rays of the sun more like a pulse through my brain. Now, is that the sun? Or is it one of their satellite emitters that they are calling the sun?
Wow.
So let me ask you this, because I do sun gaze, because like you said, everything has a certain level of truth. So there's certain protocols that I do and I practice, for my health. This leads us into what we've been talking a little bit on our show, which is the simulation. Like, this is a simulation that we're living in. Yeah. And basically what, talking about nanotechnology, talking about programs, chips, these are all programs, these are all simulations created in this reality, which kind of goes concurrent in what you're saying, that what is really reality.
And
right?
it's funny you mentioned that the sun, if we're looking at the sun, because there's a guy, a flat earther by the name of David Weiss, and he said we're actually looking at a reflection, and we're actually looking at a reflection of something shining inside of the sun. I mean, that's just a perspective, but damn, like
if we're even looking at the sun. See, that's what I'm saying. 20, 30 years ago, there may have been some element of truth to that. 50 years ago, there may have been an element of truth to that. Most of you weren't even around then. I don't think so anyway. The guy you saw looked pretty young to me. So, but anyway, again, I could have one of these visual things, which I can't determine men or women anymore because
The switcheroo, the switcheroo.
Well, like I said,
We're claiming that word. We're claiming.
No, it's like what's the movie when the people didn't know that they were really old. They looked really young to themselves.
well, like I said, I'm old school. Back in the day, if you had a cat or a dog or a kitten or a puppy, if you didn't know what they were, you flipped them upside down, took a look. Okay, you're this, you're that. Okay, done deal. So I'm going back to that. You know, I'm knocking on my door. Hey, let's see.
Let's see. We don't even gotta do nothing. I just need to know it's there.
I want to see. I'm like Thomas. I got to see it to believe it.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
But that's where they put humanity now. Like there's no there.
Well, I think what's going to happen. This is actually going to work to our benefit, really. See, all these loons are. See, in Canada, we have less than 1% of the population are transgender, lesbian, gay, queer, questionable, whatever you want to call it. I tech, whatever the hell it is. Anyhow, I was looking at all these terminology things. Really, sex. You got a flower, you're a woman. You got a stem, you're a guy. It's really simple, not a complicated process. The point I'm trying to make is we have less than 1% of the population that is lesbian, gay, trans, and all that. Yet they get 99% of the exposure. So now everybody thinks that Canada's a gay old place. Everybody starts to believe that it's okay to have these multiple different types of sexual identities. They've lost their mind. This is the Roman Empire on the way down out the door again, for crying out loud.
Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. I'm ready to move to the moon. And whatever's up there, kick them out. You came down here and screwed us up. Now you're going. Yeah, but anyway, so I'm looking at this, that those who are real, irrespective of their background, are going to get together. And whatever truth there is there, it's going to be a unifying factor. Everyone's going to centralize to that truth. And they're going to form their own community, if you will. They're going to be armed. They're going to be scientific. They're going to be biological. They're going to be technological. They're going to be engineers. Everyone's going to be a Da Vinci. I don't see anybody going to be a specialist like today. Everyone's a freaking specialist. They can't tie. If they're out of their field, they can't even tie their shoe with Velcro. So everyone's going to have multiple skills. Okay, I started off with 4 things. Now I'm building anti-nano devices and electromagnetic pulses and zappers and spikes, and showing people how to use a Van de Graaff to knock out anything that may jump from a person who's been injected. So, I mean, if someone had told me I would have been playing with electricity 30 years ago, I'd told them I hated electricity. Now I can't get enough of magnetism. I can't get enough of magnetic field. I'm always like, oh, look at this. I'm always fascinated. So I think that's where we're all going to go. And no matter what your background is,
don't matter.
That's your starting point, but you're not going to stay there. I guarantee you, you'll expand.
It doesn't. It's a reset.
You have to.
This one, you better sink or swim, because it don't matter where you come from.
No, it does not. Literally, I had twins in a office because I was not going to the hospital. Like now it's like you have to make some real firm decisions when you're going to do anything like that now. Like if you feel like you may have some issues or something like that, you need to really, really think about it, because you cannot take the chance of you or your children going in those places.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
you know how your twins are going to be super geniuses and intelligent. You know why?
Why?
Because I was born on the kitchen table. So look.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, my mother had my sister, and she went through the whole hospital traumatic because it was traumatic for her. She was from the islands. You know what I mean?
What island? What island?
Oh, Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
So she, we grew up, we call it in the jungle. So we're country people. Yeah. You know what I mean? So she went through the whole hospital thing, and she wasn't with it. So when it was my turn, she was like, no, she had me on the kitchen table. So
I got a buddy of mine. He's always calling me an island person.
Yep, that's why you can cook.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. My ex-wife couldn't.
I just caught that.
No, my ex-wife couldn't cook. I had to cook. Matter of fact, before I used to drive truck years ago, so before I left, I'd cook for 3 days. So all my ex had to do was warm it up. And she was sort of on the lazy side. Anyhow, when I got home, my kids would look at me with their eyes up. Oh, Dad, you're home. Food at last, kind of thing. So, I got a buddy of mine. He's from Trinidad. My parents are from the islands of Malta, so he's always calling me an
Oh,
island.
cool.
So we're always teasing each other about doing things in Caribbean time. Because every Caribbean time is you just take your time. You're not in any rush for any reason.
Yeah.
It's too
It'll
cold up there, man. You need to come to the Caribbean or something. We should like pick an island, to hang out in because it's too cold in Canada and they're not about it in Canada. We should all just connect on one of the islands down here and start our community down here. Not in Mexico.
No, not in Mexico.
Definitely not in Mexico.
We're not staying in Mexico.
Definitely not in Mexico.
But
Okay, now see, I got a friend of mine. She's down there. She's Canadian. So
I love Mexico.
See,
what part is she in?
I'm not sure. Anyway, she was thinking about going to Morelos, and she's changed her mind. She may go to Osaka or something like that. So anyway, she wanted me to come down there, but I kept getting these premonitions and dreams that what I see going on down there is they're bringing everybody there, and then when they flip this new set of restrictions coming, they're going to have a lot of people that are foreigners are going to be working these work camps. That's what I see. Anyone that doesn't want to get jabbed, because they're going to be out of their element. I'd rather be in my own element. If I do leave Canada, I'll go into the U.S.
So it's like a setup, you're saying, Tony?
Yeah,
like they're setting them up.
I think so. I mean, I'd go in the U.S. I'd go to places where you have the right to carry, and I would pack. I wouldn't think twice. I have that mentality these days. So the way I see it, we ain't got nothing to lose anymore. And again, anyone that's got a half a brain isn't going to follow this bullshit with white privilege, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter.
Please.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But you got people that, what? This is funny. Not funny. I shouldn't say funny. It's a bit hypocritical.
Ridiculous.
When they killed that guy, I forget his name now.
George Floyd.
Yeah. Okay. Before the guy they killed in California, I can see them going nuts over that. These police officers beat the blazes out of that color fellow. But what happened there? What happens? The colored people then got up and they destroyed their own neighborhoods. Like, seriously? I thought if this was actually a racial thing going on, why didn't they go to the suburbs? Or better yet, why didn't they all drive to Minnesota, find these cops, and hung them by their balls? That's what I couldn't figure out. But so they didn't do this. So they destroyed their own neighborhoods. I'm thinking, why would you do that? This is where you're buying your groceries. This is where you're buying your stuff.
Well, see, here's how it works.
Hey,
the neighborhood they destroy do not belong to them. They don't own any of the stores in those neighborhoods. When they go into those stores during a regular day, when a riot's not taking place, they're followed around the store and treated like shit. So, it
was get back.
Yeah,
it
so
was get back.
in the colored neighborhoods.
Now listen, it's now, and I'm not speaking.
And not to stop you, Santana, but we got like 20 seconds, so I'm gonna let you build though. But we're gonna come back.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just simply saying that King said that riots are voices of the people with no what is it? Riots.
It's from the people with no voice.
And we'll continue.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna shut down and come back.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm loving this. He's a cool cat.
Yeah.
He's a cool cat.
Man,
Yeah.
Anthony, man, he
Angela, you did it.
yeah. All this is because of you.